Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Please continue to hold. We'll start in about few minutes. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Myself, Athira from Department of Audiology and Speech Language Pathology, and Ms. Tarmi, Web Administrator, will be the host for the day. Welcome you all for today's HCC Unleash Webinar Series 6. So let's commence this session by invoking the blessing of Almighty through a prayer. I request all the participants to silently invoke the blessing of Almighty during the prayer. Thank you.
God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide. Hold me closely to his side. With love and strength for each new day. He will make a way. He will make a way. Oh, God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide. Hold me closely to his side. With love and strength for each new day. He will make a way. He will make a way. By a roadway in the wilderness, He'll lead me. And rivers in the desert will I see. Heaven and earth will fade, but His word will still remain. He will do something new today. Oh, God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide. Hold me closely to his side. With love and strength for each new day. He will make a way. He will make a way.
Prayer. Our loving Almighty God, we show our gratitude towards you this very evening. As we are all gathered here to attend the webinar, we ask your wonderful presence with us. May your blessings of wisdom and guidance be upon us throughout the session. We thank you for giving us this wonderful opportunity, and may your blessings of wisdom and guidance be upon us throughout the session. Bless our speaker and all the organizers of this event. Once again, we offer this prayer in your precious name. Amen.
Thank you all. Investment in knowledge pays best interest. A warm word of welcome to one and all gathered today. We are fortunate to have you all for sixth series of Unleash, Unlocking and Levitating, the existing concepts and evoking advancement in speech and hearing webinar series on research publication. This beautiful reality would never have been possible without the constant hand of Almighty. Hence, I invoke blessing of Almighty as we commence the webinar. First and foremost, it's my privilege to welcome our evergreen young and energetic secretary, Reverend Dr. Sister Annie Xavier, for her unstinted support. I welcome our dynamic principal, Reverend Dr. Sister Christina Bridget, for her guidance and encouragement in all our efforts. I heartily welcome a hearty welcome to our enthusiastic academic coordinator, Reverend Dr. Sister Lourdes Mary, who has been a pillar of support in all our endeavors. I'm extremely delighted to welcome the resource person of the day, Dr. Prashanth Prabhu, for having accepted our humble invitation. I would like to extend my word of welcome to all the delegates, young researchers, and dear students. We all gathered here today to enhance our knowledge in research publication. May many of us, as young researchers, aim to achieve the great heights. This webinar intends to unravel the better researchers in each one of us. Before we get started, I would like to go for few information. If you have any questions during the presentation, kindly type them in the chat box, which will be addressed in the end. And in order to avail e-certificate, participants are requested to fill the feedback form. The link for the same will be posted in the chat box during question and answer session. Presently, may I invite our speaker of the evening, Dr. Prashanth Prabhu, Assistant Professor in Audiology, All India Institute of Speech and Hearing. Sir is a passionate teacher and research enthusiast. His area of research interests are tinnitus, hyperacusis, misophonia, auditory neuropathy spectrum disorder, and psychoacoustics. Sir has several national and international publications and has written several chapters in books. Sir has been resource person in various institutions and guided various dissertations. Right away, we will surrender the opportunity to our speaker. Now, may I humbly request Sir to assume control over the meeting. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction, and I thank you all for inviting me to carry out this webinar. I welcome all the delegates, and for this webinar, hope we'll have a good time learning about research publication today. Hope my screen is seen for all of you and I'm audible to all of you. And today we would be discussing on this topic, that is publishing a research paper, do's and don'ts. And I thank Holy Cross College again for inviting me, and I work as an assistant professor in audiology at Aish, Mysore. And Mysore is a beautiful city, and I come from this beautiful city, and I work at this place, that is the All India Institute of Speech and Hearing, located at Mysore. And I have been invited, though not physically but virtually, to a webinar organized by this beautiful city and from this beautiful college. I had the opportunity of visiting a college as an examiner for the Viva once. So I had a very good time, and it was a very pleasant experience for me. And so, keeping all those fond memories in mind, we'll straight away move on to our actual agenda for today. So these are the basic topics that I'll be just covering in this entire webinar today. Okay, so the research paper, what are the different types of research paper we can publish, we can go into, and what's the need for publishing a research paper, what's the process of publication, and tips for writing different sections of a paper such that it gets published easily, relatively. And we'll be talking a bit about journal indexing, journal ranking, impact factor, what is a site score, how do we decide which journal to send into, and there is a small concept that I'll be talking about on something called as predatory journals, and there is another tool that I want to explain it to all of you, which is called as a journal finder tools. Okay, so the topic that was given to me is, they asked me to discuss with all of you how to publish a research article. So when I started my research journey, so that was 10 years back. Okay, so my first publication happened in the year 2011, and from then on, I have always tried to publish as much as possible, pushing my limits. And right now, I have around 75 to 80 publications approximately, and mostly in international journals. I have an impact factor of totally around 39 to 40, and I have written around 7 book chapters, and I'm serving as an assistant editor at Aish, that is Journal of Aish. And recently I was invited to join the editorial board member of PLOS ONE, which is a prestigious international journal. So what would I do in this entire 1 hour is to share my experiences, basically when I made an attempt to publish an article. What were the different hurdles and what were the different learnings that I took through my research journey or my publication journey. So I would like to share those experience with you, such that all of you would take those inputs and give your best to publish more articles and contribute to the field of audiology. Okay, so starting off, what is a research cycle? So we identify a research area that we want to do. When we design a research study, carry out the research, analyze the results, and then publish a research result. But what is more important is when you plan the study itself, that you should think that this has to get published. Okay, so you know that if the article has to be published, it has to be of very good quality. So we'll be talking about the details of quality, but so your planning itself should be such that you control all the variables. You plan a study such that it's of very high quality, such that it can go to a good journal. Okay, so you can plan some study for maybe a conference. Okay, so something which has maybe lesser number of sample size, less control, etc. That gets presented in a conference. You can stop at that. But if your aim is to publish an article, then you have to think bigger, starting from the idea itself. Okay, so you have to plan a more rigorous study. Okay, so if you want to publish in a very good journal, it takes almost 1 to 2 years of planning and work and so much of effort. So you plan in such a way that you design a very good study and carry out that research, collect the data appropriately, then the publication automatically becomes easy. So what we generally do is we just do a paper and we want to publish a paper. Okay, so that's not the way how it goes, because right from the beginning, if you plan appropriately, then definitely the results will be fruitful. So I'll talk a brief about why should we publish a paper. So some of your students, what is the advantage? I'm an audiologist. I'm studying audiology or speech language pathology. My area is clinical, so I would be treating patients and all that. Another domain is research, where people do research, present in conferences, publish papers. So what is the need? Why should we publish is what I just want to highlight a bit on. So the act of putting your research to paper will help you clarify your goals. You have your area in which you are working, so you want to learn more about it and all that, so you would be collecting more information, so that will help you to learn much more better. And once you send your article to a journal, it goes to peer review, that is for different people who look at your article and give comments. So that will give you a proper feedback that what am I doing in terms of research, is it correct or wrong? It will help you to improve yourself so that you come out with better research output. So it helps you to communicate the information that you have found with other researchers, so that the field gets advanced. And writing and publishing puts your research into larger context. So you would have found something very, very interesting, but that may be restricted only to your clinic or only to your institute. But if you publish, that research would go global, as in people would know that, okay, this is also something that is happening, and that is coming from these people and these researchers. So your published paper can help to public understanding of a research question. For example, I publish a paper on hypertension, diabetes, etc., showing that can have an effect on your hearing. I publish a paper on COVID and relationship with hearing. So all that is also giving information to the public, that is how to take care of their health and all that. So that's like a more of a broader goal. So having a robust body of published work helps you to advance your career as you consider for an academic appointments and promotion. So now that's another important thing now. So if you're an academician, especially you're working in an institute, publications are equally important. If you apply for a post right now, they ask for publications, okay, and they ask for publications in impact factor journals. So all these are extremely important for your career prospects as well. So publication helps you establish you as an expert in the field of your knowledge. From constantly publishing in the area of ANST or tinnitus, etc., then I would be regarded as an expert in that particular field. And peer-reviewed publication provides evidence that helps in evaluation of the merit of research funding requests. So this is not so much with respect to in India, but especially abroad. If you want funding, you should have published, literature. When you publish more, then you can ask for funding more. They'll give you funds when you know that you have good research caliber. So even for that, publishing a paper really helps. So this is how the academy has the evolution of academia, how initially it was like publish, okay, maybe around 10 to 15 years back and 20 years back, some people publish, some people don't publish. So recently, maybe 10 years, what happened is publish or perish. You have to publish, otherwise you cannot survive in an academic field. It could be even from an academic institution perspective. Could it be NAC, or could it be UGC, etc.? We have to publish. Only then we can show our research caliber. So we have to publish. So then it moved on to publish in high impact journals. So now, even if you see RCI guidelines for assistant professor, associate professor, it asks for publishing papers with impact factor of 5 or impact factor of 10. So you are expected to publish in high impact journals. And now the recent trend is publish frequently in high impact journal. It's not like you publish one paper or two paper. Every paper you publish has to be in a high impact journal. So that's how the research, academia is pushing all the people who are in the academic field to publishing more papers. Okay, so when I say research paper, so there can be different types of research paper. It could be an original article, okay, so which is maybe around 4,000 to 6,000 words approximately, or it could be a review article, or a case report, or an opinion, or a mini review, or a letter to the editor. So I'll just briefly tell you all about all this. Original article is the actual article that you do. Any research, exploratory research that you do some test on a patient, on some patients, you extract the data and publish it. So that's an original article. So you can publish such articles. Imagine you have a very less caseload. You don't have so much of cases to do some such studies, etc. You can also look into doing a review. Okay, so review could be just taking a topic and reviewing articles related to it, or you can do a systematic review which has more validity, and you can do a meta-analysis. So this is without any data. You don't have to collect data. You have articles already published. Okay, so you collect the data, do a proper systematic review, and then publish it. Okay, so that is easily possible, okay, for researchers who don't have so much of data. This is what we are doing. Even dissertations right now are systematic reviews in our institute. So which means that right now, due to the COVID situation, we cannot collect data. We cannot come up with good quality data. Review article, systematic review article is somewhere above the actual original article, which means that it's of a higher level. So doing systematic review is, you can publish it in good journals with impact factor 2. So that's another angle which all of you need to look into when you don't have so much of case load to do an original article. Case report. So this is another easy way of publishing a paper, to be honest, because many clinics, you are associated with hospitals, etc., and you see many interesting cases, and almost all the institutes have clinical conferences happening, etc. So I ensure that each clinical conference I guide, that gets turned out into a publication. Okay, clinical conference, you would have dig deep into the details of it. You would have collected so much of information, so that because you would be presenting an interesting case for your CC, so that can easily be published. Or you have seen some interesting case in your client, some syndromic case or some challenging case that you have found out. So all that can easily be published. So there are journals specifically for case report, journal for rare diseases and all that you can publish easily in all those journals. Or it could be an opinion or a mini review. You can write about something which comes, which is recent. Okay, so we wrote a paper on COVID-19 and hearing impairment. Okay, so in India, what is the effect of that? What is the effect on hearing aid programming, CI mapping and all that? It was just an opinion article which we published. So you can do that. Or it could be a letter to the editor. Letter to the editor is, you have already a published article in that particular journal. So what you do is you write about it. Okay, you write about the positives of it or a negative of it, and you can write about it, and the author replies for it. So that's another area which you can look into. But you have a lot of potential with respect to case report, systematic review, and original articles, which can get published in a very good journal with impact factor 2. So how to publish a paper in international journal? So the process, how it happens, you complete your research. I'm not going to details of how to write and all that, because it's already covered in previous webinars. So you have completed the research, then you prepare your manuscript. You prepare your manuscript according to the guidelines. I want to publish in, for example, International Journal of Audiology. I go to the guidelines how to format the article. Preparing the manuscript, I basically mean formatting the article. What should be the line spacing? What should be the levels of heading? I mean, how should be the referencing style and all that. I prepare it according to the manuscript guidelines, and then I submit to the manuscript. Usually, there would be an online platform through which I can upload my manuscript. Okay, and then that manuscript gets reviewed. That will go for reviewers. That will go to 2-3 experts in that field who would check your article, and based on that you get a decision, accept or reject. I mean, there can be a review. We'll ask you to revise it, and then it may be accepted or it may get rejected, and ultimately the publication happens. So for students, this is how the process happens. You have your research, you prepare your according to the guidelines, submit it through an online platform. It goes to 2-3 people or experts. Then they decide whether it needs to be accepted or rejected. Okay, and once you submit it, what happens? Once you get submitted, the article gets accessed by the editor. It goes to the editor, and majority of the articles get screened out at the editor level itself. Okay, so if I'm an editor of +1, the article comes to me, and I decide whether the article is good enough, whether it meets the scope of the journal, whether it has can it go to review or not. I can easily reject at that level itself. Okay, or I can submit it to 2 reviewers in the subject area. They do the review and comments to the editor, and editor says resubmit with revision, or the editor says, okay, you can reject it. Okay, reviewer says it's not acceptable, it's not properly done, and it gets rejected, or it can get accepted and then goes to publication and the production stage. So if I am an editor, what I look at it, okay, so this is extremely important. If I'm submitting a paper, what all I should take care of such that my article gets published is what I want to share. Okay, so this is from an editor's experience. I mean, this is from my experience as an editor, or my experience as rejections from an editor. Okay, so why the editor has rejected it? Because editor looks at only these. Editor looks at the abstract. Editor looks at the title. So the title has to be very good, very catchy and appropriate to the what you want to do. I mean, looking at the title itself, the interest should come in to the editor. So plan your title appropriately. The abstract, I mean, not many people focus on abstract, but editor reads only the abstract. The editor doesn't go through the entire manuscript. So considering that, write abstract with very much interest, such that it's not just copy paste of the introduction and results conclusion. That's not how abstract is written. It has to be written in a concise and clear way such that editor likes it and it goes to the further review. And visual information, what I mean by that is, if the formatting should be appropriate according to the journal. If there are spacing errors, if there are grammatical errors which are obviously seen, etc., editor directly feels like rejecting it. References should be according to the format, and keywords should be appropriate. Conclusion, I mean, he may just read the conclusion. What are they trying to say at the end? And based on that, the editor makes the decision. And a very important part is also a cover letter which you write to the editor. Editor reads that cover letter, and this is the most ignored part of most of the researcher, but cover letter is something which is extremely important that we need to take care of. Once you do all that, it goes to review. Okay, so review is the place where where it gets literally annihilated. Okay, so your paper gets torn off, and they read every statement, and then they try to accept it. So reviewers are stricter, so we should ensure that you write the article in the best possible way. Okay, so the general structure of a paper is like this. You will have a title, abstract, and keywords. Okay, and the main text is in IMRAD format, that is introduction, methods, results, discussion. Okay, this is your main text. Okay, and as you can see here, there is under introduction, you don't have aims and objectives. In a research paper, I don't write aims and objectives. There is nothing called as review of literature. Okay, so in a paper, you don't write a section called as review of literature. Everything comes under introduction itself. Then you have your methods, result, discussion. Then you have your conclusion, acknowledgements, references, and the supplementary data. So I'll go into each one of it briefly, and I'll tell you what you need to do and what you should not do. So that will help you to publish an article easily. So as I said, cover letter is extremely important, which most of us ignore it, because I was ignoring, especially, once I started getting a lot of rejections at the editorial level itself, then I learned that my cover letter is not proper. Okay, so majority of the article goes to the review, especially in a very good journal, from your cover letter. So what should your cover letter include? It should include the importance of the topic, why, what is the significance of the result, what is the innovation of research that you are coming up, and relation to the previous work, reason, and another important two reasons why this journal should publish it, because maybe it's slightly ENT related and you're sending it to an ENT related journal, then you try to correlate it. Okay, and if it's like pure audiology paper and you're sending it an audiology paper journal, and you should try to correlate that the audiology professionals would be interested in reading it. If it's a general paper, you're sending it to a general journal, you have to make appropriate references like that, and why the readers will like it, because what is the advancement that will bring with this paper. So all this has to be in a paragraph, very succinctly written. So that is extremely important. So try to make sure that you write it. So it's just a simple example that I just wanted to show you. You'll write the journal editor's name, go to the journal, find out who is the editor-in-chief, write the name. Okay, so don't just write editor, write his name, write his title, write the journal name. Okay, then write his last name, dear doctor or dear professor, and I would like to submit the title and what is the type. Is it a case report, is it an original article? All that has to be clearly written in the cover letter. Then you summarize. So this is the paragraph which is most important. So you write all that what I explained in this paragraph, and you write that this has been not published in any other journal, etc. This is also extremely important. Make sure that you don't send the same paper to 2-3 journals. Okay, I want the paper to get published anywhere. So that's not how from a research ethics angle, you should send only to one journal, wait for its result, and only then you need to move forward. Okay, so that's what would be our opinion that we'll be presenting. No conflict of interest and all that. This is a sample cover letter that you can write, such that you are saying what is important. How will it be useful if that gets published in that particular journal. Then introduction. So when I was writing introduction, especially, the comments that I used to get are very lengthy introduction. That's one of the common comments that most of us, most Indians, I guess we would get, is we are used to writing more. Okay, so we don't know to concise. Okay, so concising and putting everything in a crisper way. Okay, so we need to follow this. We need to start from what is known. So from unknown to known, or basically from broad to narrow. So that's how an introduction has to be written. So start off from a very broad topic, then go to the need. Why are we doing this research? And then how should we fill the gap? So write about the aims and objectives. So around 500 to 600 words, maybe you can maximally stretch to maybe 700 to 800 words is what you need to write in introduction, not more than that. Your first paragraph would be, that is about the basic information. From the second paragraph onwards itself, you should start moving towards your need, what is already done. So you need to understand the gap there. And your third paragraph, or maximum fourth paragraph, you should be able to write why this study is important and what are the aims and objectives of the study. So in the introduction, you should clearly specify what you are trying to measure. The aims and objectives have to be specifically written. So that makes it very interesting, because people don't like reading too much. So they have to go directly to the point. For example, if I'm writing something, I have done study on binaural integration in musicians, for example. Don't start from what is CAPD, what are different processes, then come to binaural integration, etc. That's not how it's written. It's done on binaural integration, go directly to binaural integration. Maybe one sentence on APD, then move to binaural integration, then move to what is not done, and then why are you doing this study. So if you write that, then your introduction would be good. Method section, this is extremely important. Most of the articles gets rejected because the method section is not properly done. So how do we control the variables? All the variables, how have we controlled? Everything has to be detailedly written in the method section. Okay, so method section is a detailed breakdown of your experiment. Start off from the participants and write the research design. Most of the high-end journals look for writing the research design, whether it's a cross-sectional, randomized, non-randomized, all that needs to be written. And the participant details, how many males, females, what was their mean age, standard deviation, all that has to be clearly written. And another important thing is, for example, I've done a study on ANST population on maybe 15 ANST people. Okay, so then if I just write it was done on 15 people, 10 males, 5 females, rather than that, what they look for, what they ask me, especially when I send articles like that, is a table with each of the participants described, in the sense, each participant P1, P2, P3, P5. I would write their age, I would write their gender, I would write their audiogram configuration, what could be the cause of hearing loss. All that is expected because you are more open and you are telling that this is how the data was. So more open you are, more they would start to trust your article more, and they would be interested in reading the article. So wherever possible, give more details about the participants and the design and the materials that you have used and the procedure that you are following. All that has to be given in detail. For example, if I'm using an audiometer, if I'm doing an emittance, what's the standard guideline is? If I'm using an audiometer, what is the make of the audiometer and in which country was that manufactured? All that has to be written for each audiometer, each emittance meter, ABR, and all that. That's how a standard article is written. So all these, if they are not written, I mean, you feel that when I'm reviewing, I will feel that, okay, this person doesn't know how to write an article. So the tendency would be more towards rejection rather than accepting. So all these are extremely important. Write about the procedure. Another important aspect is ethical consideration. So that is given a lot of importance right now. That is, have you taken ethical approval from your institute? Most of the institutes have ethical board committee. So whenever you prepare an article, send the article or get that ethical approval done, because most of the journals, high-end journals, ask for that ethical approval letter. Okay, so once you send that, then there are more chances of getting accepted, as in, like, or else there are more chances of rejection if you don't send it. So considering that, try to get an ethical approval wherever possible. Informed consent, ethical approval, all that has to be written in the method section. Then they'll be more they'll understand better, and they'll be able to accept your article more easily. With respect to result section, the inputs that result section is again where lots of rejection happen. Method and results are the major areas in which reviewers identify and they reject an article. Results is, what are your aims or objectives? The article results has to flow in that particular order. What was your aim and how did you do it? And provide all the information as much as possible. Okay, don't hide any information. For example, I'm writing an inferential statistics. Don't write p less than 0.05. That's all. Give the test statistic value. Write what was the exact p value. Give them the ideas. That's that. Even with that, they should be able to guess that they have actually collected the data, because there are many people who fake data and publish it. Okay, so we can clearly get to know that once you read the statistics. So you do an appropriate statistics. If your institute has an option of a statistician help, get a help from a statistician, because doing proper inferential statistics is extremely important for getting publication. Because I see many articles, especially from Indian context, where they do just just descriptive. Maybe it's just a survey. You have your descriptive data, but at least you can do some chi-square test or some inferential statistic, because without the inferential statistic, descriptive becomes more shallow. Then there are more chances of results getting, article getting rejected. Even when you are presenting your results, the effect size, when you give the p-value, try to give the effect size. Most of the journals look for that as well. And another important aspect is your tables and figures. So tables and figures should not be repeating. Whatever you have given in your table, don't repeat the same in the figure. So try to make table clear, concise. Whichever you feel that can go as a table, give it as a table, and whichever you want to give it as a figure, give it in a figure. And another important aspect is figure. Make it as clear and as good as possible, because figures are the major attraction in any article. So try to provide very nice figures. So there are softwares where you can prepare nice figures, something like GraphPad Prism. It's something where you can produce high quality images rather than just preparing figure in Word or an Excel. I prefer using such softwares where you provide high quality figures, where you can have where you have lots of different options for producing the figures. Okay, so you can have different types of graphs, different types of figures, where you can you can represent the data much more better rather than just giving in a bar graph, etc. So that gives you a better visual representation and more chances of accepting the data. And most importantly, the result has to be concise. Okay, don't give too much of information in results has to be very, very concise, and it should justify your claims. It should clearly say whether you're accepting the hypothesis or rejecting the hypothesis. Is there a significant difference? Is there not a significant difference? That is extremely important. Second one, what we fail to do is, sometimes if we are not finding any significant difference, many feel that we should not put it, we should not present it. So that is extremely wrong. We should learn to produce, or you should try to write negative results too. Maybe I thought that dancers and non-dancers will have a difference, but my study did not find it. So we should be you should be honest enough to publish that with no significant difference also, and think about what could be the reasons for this no significant difference. So all these will make sure that the reviewer feels that, okay, these are a genuine people who are writing the article. So all that gives you that extra credibility and extra edge over publishing an article. And the next part is extremely important. Okay, so there in introduction, I said you have to go from broad to narrow, but in discussion, you should go from narrow to broad. So that's what is important. So that is most common mistake. People write discussion similar to introduction. So that is one major drawback, which people, when the reviewer reads it, he feels like discussion is not strong enough. So what I mean by narrow is, I got some result, I should be writing about the result. Okay, it should start from the result and the reasons for the result that we have got. Okay, so then go to the study from the previous. Are there any similar studies which have given similar results which supports study? So you should defend the answer, strengthen the limitations of the study, and then you move to a broader perspective. What are its implications? What will this result be actually useful for, and all that, and how this would fill the gap in the research literature. So that's how we need to go for it. We need to go from a narrow to a broader context. So that's one thing. And discussion also, they don't expect it to be very lengthy also. So maybe around four paragraphs or 5 paragraphs is what is maximally expected. Don't write too much, don't put the entire study. So that's what again happens in discussion. When I say supporting studies, people put that entire study. So that's not as important. What is the main message, or what is that main thing that you want to say? You put that, and that if you write is more than enough. Okay, so that's what is expected in a discussion section. Otherwise it gets rejected. Then conclusion is extremely important. Write the aim. What did you try to achieve? What was your result? And then what was the counter argument? That is the major thing that you want to highlight. So that should be the final, and leave them something to think about. This is something which should lead to something more. So the person who is reading it, okay, feels that, okay, this has potential to create more ideas and come up with more research topics. So that is extremely important. Write conclusion with caution. And this is what I have learned, and this is a very good practice which I got from the reviews that I received, is always try to write the limitations and future directions. Okay, so limitations could be in terms of data collection, data analysis, because that ensures that you know the limitations. You are not saying that this is the best study. You know that what are the limitations of this study, because as a reader, they should not accept everything directly because it's done on only 20 people. That we need to ensure that you are articulating it through the limitations of the study, and always try to give future direction, because that will that will help the reviewer to think, okay, definitely this has more research prospects, so let me accept it. So the reviewer mind goes like that. So this is also extremely important. Make sure that in the discussion section you add the limitations and future direction, and then write the conclusion section. And the next one is the references. So all the journals will have their own reference formatting, which they want it to be. So they say APA, American Psychological Association, or it could be Vancouver, it could be MLA, or it could be even more customized according to the journal itself. Okay, so make sure that you read what are the journal guidelines, I mean the reference guidelines. I mean here, if you see the journal article, its title is in italics, volume is in italics, others are not in italics, and you have to give a comma, I mean full stop here. This is how a referencing should be done. Okay, so make sure that you are doing it appropriately, because that's a major setback. Okay, if you have not formatted your references properly, then outrightly mean most of the reviewers feel that okay, they have not even paid attention to how the references should be written, so they have definitely not written the article with so much of interest. So that's mostly gives a negative feedback, and the people would mostly may go for rejection of the article. Okay, so for references, there are lots of reference managers which you can try to use it. Okay, I won't go into details of it. There are something, I mean, I personally use Mendeley, which is a free software. EndNote is also very excellent. You can also use Zotero or Reference, anything. So what Mendeley does is, you don't have to format anything. You just need to put all your articles into Mendeley and then say APA. Automatically, the article gets formatted. Just click bibliography, your entire article references comes up, so that you don't have to worry about all the things. And another advantage of Mendeley is, maybe you have written the article, sent the article to the journal for publication, it got rejected, and the article was formatted according to APA. Then you're planning to send it to another journal, and the other journal, it wants it in Vancouver. So the entire Vancouver means it has to be numbers. You have to reformat everything if you're doing it manually. Mendeley is just one click. Just go to selection, instead of APA, just click Vancouver, and an entire manuscript get converted into Vancouver. So make sure that you use this. I mean, all the researcher, I advise that you start using these reference managers. So it would be like a collection of all your articles in one platform, and make sure that you use it. I mean, I recommend it even for master students. They format their presentations and everything using Mendeley, such that they learn how to do it. Do use Mendeley in your dissertations, on your projects, etc., so that you know how to use it, and that will definitely help you in formatting articles in for a journal. Okay, so these are some of the tips that I just told you, which I used, which helped me for publishing an article. So before we start, I mean, starting is the major hurdle. So once you start writing, don't worry about path-breaking ideas. So we cannot publish articles which are like of Nobel Prize level. So start off with something simple, something which you're very confident of, and then start off with it. And don't try to put too many concepts in one paper. We have done lots of data collection. Don't put everything there. Maybe whatever is appropriate and making sense together, and write it and make it interesting. Write such that everybody feels like reading it. So writing to make it interesting is extremely important. Write abstract as last, because I said abstract is extremely important. Once you have the entire idea about the abstract, do it, and reach out to people who have already published. So this is personally which I did, especially when I was an initial researcher. I made sure that I gave it to some of my professors who read the article, and they gave me comments, so which I incorporated, such that that helped me to understand those minor mistakes. So people who have already published, I mean, there is no harm in giving it to them, but you should ensure, I mean, you have to give it to people who don't copy your articles and all that, ensure all that, but try to talk to people, or have them read it and identify, especially in the initial stages. Once you have got the hang of it, you can easily do it. Especially in the initial stages, reach out to people who have already published and get your article read once, and get comments and improve on your article. Identify parts of it which are more important, get it read by your friends. It could be friends, your colleagues, or your professors, and reach out for help. And that's how you can make your article much more better. Okay, so I've been talking for maybe around 40 minutes now. So it's 6:55 in my watch. So we'll take a quick 5 minutes break, because I firmly believe in this study that was done way back in 1992. The y-axis says level of performance, and x-axis is the time. So interest would last maximum for around 30 to 40 minutes, so not beyond that. And if it's online, the graph becomes even more steeper. So I've crossed that, to be honest. I've talked for almost 40 minutes. So we'll quick break for 5 minutes, and I'll come back. And I call it a social media break also for my students. You can check your WhatsApp statuses, you can check your Instagram posts or a Facebook notifications and all that. Get your mind relaxed, and we'll come back to the how do we publish your research paper. We'll be talking about the citations and where should we publish so that your article gets accepted and all that. We would be going in the next half. Okay, so we have come to the interval stage now. So hopefully the first half was good. We'll try to make the second half also even more interesting. So we'll meet after 4 minutes sharp.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, so welcome back everyone. So we'll okay, so we had an exhaustive session for 40 minutes. So I think all of you are had a good relaxing break, and we'll continue further now. Okay, so till now I have talked about how do we publish a paper and all that, and what are the tips that we need to take care when we are writing a paper, and what are the common mistakes that we do and how we should take care of it. So then, now imagine I've taken care of all that. I know I've written an excellent article and everything is ready now. Okay, so then where should I send it, or how the publication process would happen now? I have to send it to a journal now. So which journal to send it to? How should I send an article? How do I select which journal to go into? Is another important question that all of us have, and that's where the next part goes. Where should we send it? What are the do's and what are the don'ts? Okay, so we have journals which are indexed. Okay, so what I just quickly explain to you what are indexed is. Whenever there is a journal, so journal can get indexed into Scopus, SGR, and all these Google Scholar, etc., such that whenever that article gets published in that journal, if I go to Scopus website and type that, then that journal would come in that particular list. Okay, so each of them have their own reputation. Okay, so which means that if it is Scopus index, which means that the journals which are of very high repute only gets indexed in Scopus. Those which have good impact factor, which people read, only that. So Scopus will vouch for only such journals. Okay, so Scopus is like that one journal, I mean one category, one indexing directory, if I can put it like that. Okay, there are several directories like that. So one of that is Scopus. So Scopus is basically an abstract and citation indexing database of peer-reviewed literature, books, conference proceedings, etc. So what I can do is, if I want to publish in this particular journal, for example, International Journal of Audiology, I would go to Scopus and check whether it is Scopus indexed or not. Or even in the journal website, they would have written that this journal is Scopus indexed. So I will try to correlate such that this journal is of repute, so that I can submit my article to this journal, so that people will start reading that article. Okay, so if you have written an article which is very good in the sense which has very nice information which nobody has found out yet, and it's done on a very large population, the data is excellent, then you should think of publishing it in journals which are indexed in something called as Scopus, or another valid or a highly reputed index is called as, from Web of Science, it's called a Science Citation Index. Okay, so all our audiology and speech language pathology high index journals are there in the Science Citation Index. For example, your IJA, JSLHR, AJA, Journal of Communication Disorders, all of them are indexed in Science Citation. Okay, so we can publish in such journals so that people will recognize you and people will start reading your articles more. Okay, so especially from University of Mysore guidelines, it's like if I have to guide a PhD, I should have at least one article published in Science Citation Index. Okay, so this is where what I have in my desktop is, I have a Excel where I have the list of all the journals which have Science Citation Index. So before I send an article, right, I mean, especially in few years, what I do is I search whether it has SCA or not. I'm trying my best to send articles to such journals which are of high impact with Science Citation Index. Okay, so in journals, we get so many metrics. So we talk about impact factor, site score, and all that. I'll just quickly tell you what this is. So impact factor basically refers to the average number of citations received by articles published in that journal within a 2-year window. Within that 2-year window, how many articles were cited in that particular journal? In other journals, how many articles were cited? So all that combined will give you an impact factor. Okay, so that is extremely important from audiology point of view. If you see, maybe hearing research has an impact factor, ear and hearing has high impact factor. All those have high impact factor, means that these have higher citations. Okay, citations for a 2-year window refers to the impact factor. So if you publish articles in journals with high impact factor, more people will read it, more people will cite your article. So that's why people say that we should publish it in impact factor journals, such that your data or your research which you are doing actually gets publicized worldwide. Okay, then another metric is site score, that is the average number of citations in a journal over a 4-year period. Over a 4-year period, if you calculate, then that would be a site score, which is obviously higher than impact factor. Some of the journal will have only site score, it may not have impact factor. Some journals show both impact factor and site score too. So at least if they have site score, so then you can send journals to then send your articles to such journals. Then you have something called as SNIP, source normalized impact per paper. That is number of citations per paper in the journal divided by the citation potential in the field, how many citations are generally done. So considering that, they calculate the SNIP. Then you have the Imago journal ranking, average number of weighted citations in a year divided by the number of articles published, then you get that SGR ranking. So these are the different metrics. Okay, so a potential of a researcher is calculated based on the impact factor. What is his total impact factor? As I told you, for an assistant professor post now, you need to have published articles with a worth of 5 impact factors. So that's like publishing 4 to 5 articles with an impact factor of 1. Because majority of the articles, journals in from audiology goes to maybe like 1 to 2. That's the major impact factor that most of the journals have it. So you need to publish like 3 to 4 articles minimum if you want to cross that 5. So plan like that. All of your young researchers, when you're planning, plan your articles, write your articles in such a way that it goes to journals with impact factor. If you keep in mind all the points that I said and send articles to it, and then definitely all of you can publish it in journals with impact factor too. Another thing which is more Indianized is your UGC care list, or so UGC approved journals. So some of them which are not even listed in the Scopus or Science Citation Index and all that. So even if it is recognized in UGC, so that is also considered to be can be published kind of, okay, because initially UGC had a lot of journals which were fake journals. So that has been revised, so people have, UGC has been constantly revising it, and the UGC list is also accurate, and we can send articles there as well. So you have selected a journal, check whether it is there in the UGC care list or not, then submit it such that it will have better credibility. If you have an article which is not of very good quality, etc., and you want to send it to some journal which is of a general journal, not audiology based, check whether it's in UGC care list and then send it, because only then it will be more valid. Okay, so you can easily check it in the UGC website and then plan for sending that articles there. And another thing is Q1, Q2, Q3 journals. Okay, so each discipline you have journals which are of good quality. In terms of impact factor, they decide whether it's a Q1 journal, Q2 journal, or a Q3 journal. So if you are a starter and if you have an article which is of not very good quality, which can make it to Q1, start off with at least a Q3 journal. And if you have a good decent article which you feel can go into a bit higher, then you can try Q1 or Q2. So you should be able to think whether it can go to IJA or whether it can go to Ear and Hearing and things like that, or it has to go to some lower end journal, maybe from Journal of Audiology, Otology, or something like that. So think about all that and then decide it. Or you can ask people who have already published, check with them what is the quality, can it make it to this, or you read the articles in that journals and you check whether this can make it to that article. Ultimate goal should be constantly publishing it in Q1 journal. But as a starter, we should always go by the ladder. You can start off with Q3, Q2, and then you can easily go to Q1 journal too. Okay, so, but another way of looking at it is, as a starter, if you have a decent article, you send it to a very high impact journal. Okay, so for example, that's what I did when I submitted my first paper. Okay, so I submitted my first paper in the year 2010. Okay, so my guide was Animation. So when I wrote the paper, it was a pretty good paper, well done on a ANS team, and it was interesting. Nobody has done anything on that, was totally new. And I asked him which journal to send it. Okay, so he said, send it to International Journal of Audiology. So I asked him, whether will it make it or not. That's a very high quality journal, and we have written such, will this article really go into, it had potential, but it was not at like very good level. But he said, send it. I'll tell you why. So we sent the article. Okay, it came back after review after 3 months, and I got a reviewer comments of 8 pages. Okay, so my article itself was around 12 to 13 pages. I got a review comments of 8 pages that is pointing out why we are rejecting the paper, because there are 8 pages of mistakes in the paper. They read line by line, and you got comments line by line. Okay, so that's another way of working at it, as in like send it a very good journal. Then what we did was we learned from it. Okay, so what we did was we incorporated each and every suggestion that was given in that entire 8 page of the review, and we did those corrections and we sent it back. We got again for review, we made it and sent it, and we published the article. Or my first publication was in that International Journal of Audiology, where I learned. Okay, so this is another way. If you have a pretty good article, send it to a journal with high impact. It may not get accepted, but what you get is learning. Okay, if you get review where you get to identify what were the mistakes, but an important thing is not to commit that mistake again. So I ensure that whatever comments were given, the way of writing, where to write the, where to write and you know, all those grammatical mistakes, how should be the formatting and everything. Each article, whenever you get a review, learn from it and don't make that same mistake when you write the next article. That's how we can improve the quality of our writing. Okay, so try doing that. Whenever you have a good article, send it there. Let there be rejections. I have, and don't stop if you get rejection. Okay, don't get disheartened that okay, I sent two journals rejected it, and let me not stop it. Make the incorporations and send it. I have experience of sending an article for 12 journals. Okay, the 12th journal accepted it because I kept on making corrections after corrections, incorporating all those, and the 12th journal accepted it. So never stop and keep persisting. That's how we can become better researchers. Okay, so all said and done, all of us are interested to publish, all of us are motivated to publish, but what happens is there are journals which cash on it. Okay, so these journals are called as predatory journals. Okay, they are waiting for the young researchers or the researchers who want to publish articles, and they catch hold of it just for making money. Okay, so what are these predatory journals? Is they take articles for publishing. They publish your article and you just have to pay around 3,000, 4,000 rupees. Sometimes it can go to 10,000 rupees. You just pay them and your article gets published. They'll say you'll get a number and everything. So that's not how publication is done. So publication has lots of hurdles, but that's not how publication is done. Predatory journals are cashing in on all this. Okay, so whom do they catch hold of? They catch hold of the naive contributors, pseudoscientists. Okay, so those who don't want to publish, to go through all this, they want to go to the easy route, and that's how the predatory journals go for it. Okay, so what are the characteristics of a predatory journal? They invite authors. Okay, so I start getting mails. Okay, if I publish one article, I constantly start getting mails that okay, there's a journal published in this journal. There is this journal published this in journal, and you know, very quick, 1 to 4 weeks itself, we would do it, and there won't be any editorial boards members. The photos would be of some people. They may not have proper email IDs and all that. They would have prepared the website such that it looks authentic, but it would be totally a fake journal. Okay, so another important don't that I wanted to tell all of you is don't get we should not become prey of this predatory journals and publish it in this and get caught. Okay, because I'm telling you this because I was caught by this predatory journal. I have the experience of publishing in a predatory journal. Okay, so when I sent an article once and to a predatory journal, they said they're a new journal and all that, and they said they will publish it and all that, and I sent the article. Later I got to know that this is a predatory journal and I wanted to withdraw my article. Then they asked for money. I mean, even for withdrawal, I should have to pay the money. Okay, so young researchers, they catch hold of it and they, I get a publication in my name, but that has no credibility. Nowhere you can, project that this is your publication. So this is an extremely important point that all researchers need to be aware of, such that we do not publish in predatory journal. How do we identify fake journals? It could be fake editorial boards, fake impact factor. They'll say impact factor of 5.4, 6.4 and all that is absolutely fake. Okay, so go to Scope, they'll say Scopus Index, Web of Science Index, go to Scopus, search for this, okay, search whether this article journal is there, and journal will have ISSN number. Go to ISSN website, type this and check whether this journal is actually real or not. Okay, so all this you need to do, say, check for publisher. It says like International Journal of something, but the contact details, if you go, it will be in Hyderabad or in Noida or Ghaziabad. Okay, so all are Indian based publishers who are saying that it's an international journal. So we need to be extremely careful of. Okay, so this is one email that I got yesterday. I took a screenshot and put it. So I keep getting it every day. So this is another journal. It's again a fake journal. They say you just send it and we will publish it immediately. Another thing that they are trying is we want to be in your editorial board. So we want you to come to the editorial board and get people, because if I am in this board, I will tell my people to submit paper to it. So all those are fake journals we should be very careful of. But not all open access journals are fake. So that's what I just wanted to convey. There are journals like Frontiers and all that where we have to pay, and payment is always like extremely high. Okay, so for example, like $2,000 or 1,500 euros. That's how the open access journals are. But just paying like 3,000, 4,000, etc., will make you, which will dilute your reputation and your publication profile. Okay, so how do I decide whether the peer review is clearly stated, etc.? Then go here. I mean, if they ask for payment, if the peer review, how do they do it? If they're not clearly stated, then definitely that is predatory. The journal does not have online system. They would say email it to this. So then that again we need to think that this is definitely fake, and go to Directory of Open Access Journals, check the name, and if it is fake, then don't send your articles there. So this will definitely damage your reputation if you start publishing in a predatory journal. So stop doing that. Why Indians have to worry more than anyone else is, as India is a developing country, we have a lot of pressure to publish an article, and when we get such offers, we easily go to it. Okay, and Indian majority of the predatory journals publishers, I mean, the people who are sending articles to it are Indians, and also are publishing it are also located in India. Could be unemployment is at peak. This is one journal article where they try to find out why people send to these fake journals. Okay, so another point quickly I just want to tell you all is something called as journal finder tools. Okay, I have an article and I want to send it to maybe Elsevier or Springer or Sage, which are very good publishers, and I don't know which journal to send to. Okay, so then most of the journals will have journal finder tools. So you can go to these websites, and what you need to do is you can just fill the manuscript title and the abstract. Just fill the title and the abstract, or the entire text can be put, or the abstract can be put, and then select the subject area and then say start. So what happens is when you do that, the journal itself, I mean, the Springer would give you under Springer which are the journals that you can submit to, and it will give you whether it is paid journal or whether it is open choice journal, and all that you will get details, and then you can decide which journal I can submit it to. So this is another thing that Springer does. And once you send articles to Springer, if your article gets rejected, what they do is Springer people will email it to you back with the list, and you can select any one of them. They will transfer your entire article to that particular journal. To all those facilities are easily there. So this is an excellent tool which most of the researchers don't know of, don't use it. So this go to all this Elsevier, Springer, Sage, then you will get to know that there are journals which are of very good quality, which we are not even aware of, and that can match my article profile, and I can definitely think of sending it to such interesting journals. So, and Elsevier's advice say that don't aim too much. Okay, so go from bottom, and then don't just descend the stairs. You need to go up the stairs. Okay, so start maybe initially from national journals. If it's like articles of very not very extremely good quality, you can start submitting articles to maybe Jisha or Jayesh. You can start getting reviews there, or maybe then go to field specific journals of not of extremely high quality, but of good with indexing, etc. Because Jayesh, Jaya is maybe Jasi and Jisha are not indexed yet, but still you have good. They are reputed journals. I mean, we can send it to a reputed national journal too. Then if it's not there, then you go to other field specific journals. Then if the article is good, then you can go ahead and go to field specific top journals. That is like the highest journal could be JARO, could be hearing research, could be ear and hearing, like that. You can go into from an audiology angle. Then if you have an extremely basic science, then you can think of, frontiers, nature, science, and all that. Okay, so this is how we need to move ahead and keep improving our skill and keep moving forward. Okay, and especially from India, people are, once we started publishing, okay, so once my senior colleagues here at Aish, when they started publishing, we got motivated. I mean, I also got motivated and started publishing. We should look at people who are publishing more and get inspiration from them, and we want to reach to their level. Okay, for example, it was like Sujit sir, Rajit sir, Neeraj sir, and all the publishing more at that time. So they were inspiring for me. So I want to beat them one day. I want to publish like them. So that should be our motivation. Okay, you should look at people who are publishing more, your professors, etc. Aim to be like them. So that's how I motivate myself. And once you start doing that, you start getting recognition. I get invitation to talk on tinnitus from maybe an international committee. I got invitation to become an editorial member of an international journal. I get articles to review because I'm an expert in that field. So that's how you improve. People are getting to know that India also people are doing very good quality research. So that's how young researchers should motivate ourselves to bring name for our country as well, and also become better professionally as a researcher. Okay, so best way of starting is to start reading good articles. So once you read it, you will get to know how to write it. So keep reading it, then write it, revise it. So that's how we can improve your article. Try to get good writers to review, give it to people who can review it for you. And whenever you get review comments, you know how to edit it and how to correct it and all that. Proofread, constantly keep doing it. Another point that I missed highlighting is avoid plagiarism. That's a common thing. You copy and paste it. So that's a major setback for most of the journals check for plagiarism. So try avoiding the plagiarism as much as possible. Okay, and once you have an article, check it through a plagiarism checker. Make sure that you correct all that and then submit your article. Another common mistake that Indians do, especially when articles comes back to me, was rejected back, was get it reviewed by a native English speaker, because our English is not like an USA based or an UK based English. So we should try our best to keep improving our English. And even if you are making mistakes, so there is another wonderful software that we are using at our institute called as Grammarly. So Grammarly is a good software which will tell you if you are making any mistakes, and you can edit your manuscript and you can send articles. So that once we have started doing that, we have got getting lesser grammatical corrections as and we, especially Indians, we write a lot in passive voice. That's a common mistake. So we should learn to write more in active voice rather than passive. So all those errors would be shown in the Grammarly software. If the institute where you are working permits, so try to get those software, because that will really help you to improve the grammatical aspect, so that the article doesn't get rejected due to that. Okay. So just to quickly summarize what we discussed. So publication is a complex process, but the rewards are definitely overwhelming. Once you publish your paper, your first paper, your 10th paper, once you start publishing it, it automatically motivates you. Just need to start, that's all. And plan your research well. You aim for a journal and plan right from the beginning. That is extremely important for getting published in a good good journal. And select appropriate journal for publishing. Selecting an appropriate journal is extremely important, because journal process, review process takes around 3 to 4 months. So you should think properly, how much time do I have for publication, etc. and all that, and check the journal, how fast they review it, how fast they give the first decision and all that, and select such journals and publish it. And don't publish in fake journals. Check whether it is predatory or not, and then submit journals which are of good credibility. Learn from your mistakes. So that's what has helped me to publish more. Okay, so learning from a mistake. Each review, whatever you get, take it very, very seriously. Make sure that you are learning it and you are not repeating the same mistake again. So that's how you can publish and come out with good quality papers, and never stop trying. If you're getting rejections, keep going and keep persisting. That's how we can win. and write, read, and revise. You write the paper, read it, and then you revise it. Keep constantly revising. So another suggestions people give is you write the paper, keep it for some time, okay, and read it after a month. Okay, then you will find a lot of mistakes. Then you revise it before sending it. So before sending it, do a lot of proofreading. Make sure that it's on the best quality before you submit your manuscript to any journal, such that the chances of accepting is much more. And once you start publishing, it becomes habit. So it's just need to start and just need to learn, and you should have the desire to publish. Once you have the desire and the motivation, automatically publishing becomes an extremely enjoyable experience. Okay, so, so for any further details or anything you want to discuss, I mean, we'll have a discussion on questions and all that. Even after that, if we want to discuss anything, you can always feel free to email me or contact me for any further discussions on this, so that I can also learn and I can also help in whatever best that I know of. Okay, so I would like to end today because for 7:30 I have a few more minutes left. So this is a small quiz that I would like to conduct for all of you. So this is a fun quiz. So basically, where I would get a feedback that how well you have understood or how attentive you were and all that. Okay, so before we go to the questions for the next 4 minutes, there is a small quiz that that would happen, and briefly tell you how it has to be, how it will be go on. I don't know how many of you are aware of Menti quiz, but what I want you to go do is go to www. You can open your phone or your laptops. Go to www.menti.com, menti.com. Okay, so go to menti.com, and there. I think all of you are seeing my screen still. Go to menti.com and click the code, that is 54584916. It will ask for a code. Give 5458 and 4916, and it will ask for your name, and you can just give your name there. So it's a very simple quiz. So where there are two things which are important. Once you give a correct answer, and how fast to give it. Okay, you need to give the correct answer, and also you need to give it faster. Okay, so the toppers or the persons who will win this quiz would be the one who has given the most correct answers and who also given accurately. Okay, so this is what I use for my students, and they really enjoy it. So I just want to end for today's talk with this small quiz. There are 7 participants now, so I'll wait for some more, then we'll start. So simple multiple choice, there will be a statement. You will have 3 or 4 options. You just need to click the correct answer. That's all. Okay, and you can give your, not your actual name also if you feel like you want to be anonymous. But if you want to give your name, you can give your name too. Okay, there's no harm in that. Just for fun, I mean, no judging or anything that would happen. There are 11 people. I'm waiting for more. At least when there are around 20, I can just start off. Just go to www.menti.com and just put in the code 54584916. 54584916. Definitely, there are only 4 questions. All the 4 questions, nothing very complex on any research and all that I have put. They're very simple, just to get a feedback that you have understood, and just to keep you all engaged and end the talk on a happy note. That's all. We have 18. I'll wait for 2 more, and then we'll start. We have 19. Okay, so we have 21, 22, so maybe I can just, not wasting time, I'll just start now. So first question is for all of you to get to understand how it works. It's a simple general knowledge question. So I'll start with that. So answer fast to get more points. Which is the capital of Tamil Nadu? So there are 23 people who are playing it. So you have 20 seconds to answer. I think all of you would have answered yes. So definitely Chennai is the correct answer. So now let's see the leaderboard. Who has answered correctly in, and who is faster? Excellent. Okay, so the leaderboard now says the fastest and the leader is Bingo, and followed by is Abhinaya. Then you have Monica, Jaya, Heartstorm, Empovia, Magical Rhino, Brinda, Roja Rani, and Nancy. Let's go to the second question now. Let's see if the leaderboard remains the same or if it gets somebody else come to the top. Which of the following is not a part of research paper? So in a research article or a research paper, which one is not a part or not a section, to be precise? Yes, so review of literature is not a part. Excellent. I'm happy that all of you are definitely attentive. So let's see the leaderboard now. So who goes in? Okay, so the leaderboard has changed. Now the fastest was Roja Rani. So Roja Rani has taken over now. So Roja Rani is the leader, and the next fastest we have Pooja, Monica, Empovia, Vrinda, Binusha, Puru, Vinayagar, Sharmi, and Monica. Okay, so we'll go to the third one now. A fake journal is also called as. So that's another simple question. A fake journal is also called as. Yes, so I think all 28 of you have answered. Yes, it's a predatory journal. So a fake journal is called as a predatory journal. So let's see who was the fastest and whether Roja Rani continues to be in the top or if somebody else has taken over. Yes, so Vinayagar was fastest, but still Roja Rani continues to top. Roja Rani, Pooja, Monica, Vrinda, Vinayagar, Empovia, Puru, Binushan, Sharmi, and Sahana are the top 10 players now. So I have the last question now, which will decide who wins the quiz for today. The average number of citations received by articles published in a journal within a 2-year window is called as. So 2-year window, what is that called as? Yes, so the correct answer is impact factor. Impact factor, I'm happy that all of you are listening, and it's a good, I'm happy that 16 of you got it correctly. So hold your breath, everyone. So let's see if Roja Rani wins or if somebody else wins this quiz. So let's see the leaderboard. Yes, so the fastest was Roja Rani. It's excellent. Congratulations, Roja Rani, for winning today's quiz. And congratulations to the other top 10 players too, who are also accurate and also were very fast. So we have Vrinda, Pooja, Puru, Binusha, Monica, Ahu, Beulah, Vinayagar, and Abhinaya. So thank you everyone for your participation. So I'll just, so now let's open the floor for discussion. So any queries or anything to discuss, we would, I'm happy to answer the queries. Okay, so there are some questions in the chat box. I'll try to answer that. Okay. Okay, thank you, Manavalan sir, for your kind words. Yes, so Pooja C asks, how much should be the plagiarism percentage for an international journal? Okay, so typically from what I have observed is around 20 to 25% is what is accepted. So I have sent an article where it had crossed 25 and it was closer to 30%. So when they checked that and they found that the IATHETICATE score was around 30%, they sent me the article back and they asked me to revise such that it reduced. So I reduced it to, I mean, less than 20%. So preferably try your best to reduce it to less than 20%, but 20 to 25 is like mostly accepted. So around with 10 words, 25%, I think that should be more safer with respect to plagiarism. And in plagiarism also, we call something called as self-plagiarism. Self-plagiarism is, voluntarily citing your own article. So that is also not very well accepted in the literature, because I want to get more citations, I want to improve my H index. So if you want to do that, I will put all my articles even if they are not relevant. So if I do that, that is also not accepted. And maybe I have published somewhere else and I cannot directly copy paste that into another article, because that is also my article. So that is self plagiarism is also not encouraged. Even if the method is same, you need to write it differently such that there is no plagiarism. Okay, so the next one, what are the softwares for making a high quality images for the article? I mean, there are several softwares that are available, but I'll tell you which I use. I personally prefer something called as GraphPad Prism. So this is what I use. This has a lot of options, lot of inbuilt uh, templates, to be honest, where we can work into, and you can save it in different DPIs, whichever the journal asks for. So that is one thing that I use. But even with Excel, you can have good quality pictures, but journal looks for something like minimum of 300 DPI or 600 DPI. So in Excel, what I use is I have downloaded something called as Daniel's Excel Toolbox. So Daniel's Excel Toolbox is something which will help you to save your Excel images in higher resolution. In a TIFF image or in a JPEG image, you can save it in 600 DPI or into 300 DPI easily. So I prepare it in Excel, save it. So that is one option I used to do. But recently I've started shifting to GraphPad Prism. And GraphPad Prism actually has a trial version of only 1 month, but there are crack versions available. I should not advise it, but we can use a GraphPad Prism crack version for 1 month validity is definitely there, and it will be useful for preparing good quality images. Okay. I came across graphic abstracts in few journals. Is there any particular format for that? And when do we use it? Okay. So this graphical abstract is not mandatory when we are submitting it. So this graphical abstract, and sometimes journals have also come up with video abstracts. Okay. So once your article gets accepted, then they would, there are two ways they do it. Video abstract, they will ask us, we can send an video of explaining the article in brief, and that will be embedded within the article. So that is one way. And graphical abstract also, the journal itself have graphic designers who design the graphic abstracts according to the journal format, and they'll send it to you for your approval. You can suggest your ideas or the ways in which you can modify, and the designer would do it. So many high quality journals have this facility of graphic abstract or in video abstract. And that comes not before the submission, only after it gets accepted in that journal. Okay, are there any books to learn more about research writing for beginners? There are books available, but I'm not, the author names is not right now flashing, but there are books available for beginners, how to do it. Whatever I said, writing specifically for introduction, method section, etc. I have read one book in our library. I'm not able to recall that exact name, but I think Vinayagar has asked for it. I'll try to find out the actual author and the book name, and I'll send it across. Right now it is not flashing. Sorry for that. Yes, ma'am. M.N. Hegde is nice. Definitely, M.N. Hegde. I mean, talks about the different types of research paper, right? I mean, that is definitely a good beginning. But more practical oriented tips, maybe there are books where how to write a paper. Also, I mean, there are books, so we can definitely use. I mean, the basics. Read MNFA first, and then take tips from the other books which are on the similar lines, and then go ahead. Thank you, ma'am. Any other queries or anything to ask?
Thank you, sir, for that quiet knowledge enriching session. So we have covered almost all the questions posted. Is there anything else you want to say before wrapping it up?
Okay, so thank you all for your active participation, I mean, active attention during the entire webinar session. So, only take home message that I want to tell all of you is research is something which becomes a passion once you start doing it, once you start publishing it, once you start writing an article. So make an attempt, because we want I mean, our country wants, I mean, our profession wants young professionals like all of us to contribute a lot for research in general. So let's hope, let's join hands, let's take whatever we have learned from today, and uh, with this, I hope that we come up with a lot of publication in high impact journals from all of us. So that's all from my end, and I wholeheartedly thank I mean, the entire organizing team for giving me this opportunity to be with you for these 2 hours and share my experiences, whatever small things that I had in my mind to tell all of you, and hope this was useful, and we'll come out with something interesting and something useful for our field. So that's all I just wanted to tell all of you. Okay, thank you everyone again.
Thank you so much, sir. Participants, we have a photo session. May I request you to turn on your video mode? Thank you, everyone. Now, may I request Mr. Kamalakanan, Assistant Professor, Department of Audiology and Speech and Language Pathology, to express his words of gratitude.
Good evening, everyone. I am here to offer gratitude for today's webinar. First and foremost, I would like to thank our secretary, Reverend Dr. Sister Annie Xavier, for her selfless support. I thank our well-wisher, Reverend Dr. Sister Christina Bridget, Principal, for granting us permission to organize this webinar. I would like to thank Reverend Sister Dr. Lou Mary, Academic Coordinator, for her constant support and guidance. I would like to express my word of gratitude to Mr. R. Sundaresan, Head of the Department, for his vision and commitment. I would like to thank our Honorable Speaker, Dr. Prashanth Prabhu, P., Assistant Professor in Audiology, All India Institute of Speech and Hearing, Mysore, for enlightening us with his knowledge. The session was both informative and enjoyable, sir. Thank you so much. My heartfelt thanks to the participants from various institutions. I thank our technical team, Ms. Tarmi and Mr. Anand, for their constant support. Last but not the least, I thank our dear students and colleagues for making this event a grand success. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, sir, for your words of gratitude. Indeed, I thank each one of you for joining with us. Much obliged to have you all here. Have a good evening. Thank you.